Hello and welcome to Aging Fearlessly. I am your host, Guillermo Vidal. I was having a conversation the other day with a group of my retired friends centered around who we used to be. Although these conversations are not unusual, of course they're not. I'm always taken aback by the way most of us see our greatest part of our lives as something we once were. No one ever mentions who we are now, yet we're still traveling on the road in front of us, and there can still be adventures and lessons that will be invaluable to us until our last breath. So let me start out our conversation today with the following question. If you could choose a time in your life to return to, what time would it be? So the time in my life I often mention is back when I was in my 30s. This was a time when I was finally making decent money, so I didn't have to worry about putting a roof over my head and food on the table as we did when we were living with mom and dad. I actually had money to put a down payment on a house, and I had bought a relatively new car. But more importantly, I knew precisely during that age as to what I would choose to do that I could always count to make me happy. Playing basketball. It was a time when no matter what season, day, or time, if you were to ask me what I would choose to be doing right then and there that would make me happy, I would have said the same thing every time. Shooting hoops. It was that simple. My relationship with basketball was a deep and fulfilling one. I felt free of my problems whenever I played and free of my pressures. I was very proud and confident in my skill, and I believed I could be a formidable opponent against anyone that set foot against me on the court. I felt respected, creative, and free whenever I was on the court. As the years went by, playing basketball was the only reliable relief for me from the pressures of a career, maintaining a family, and sustaining a marriage. To this day, I still consider basketball my longest and most trusted friend. Perhaps if I was to pick another time, it would be the 5 years I worked for Governor Romer as part of his cabinet when he named me to be Executive Director of the Colorado Department of Transportation, better known as CDOT. Now, after 18 years that I worked in the department, it was miraculous to me to have reached this position. It was certainly unexpected, as I had never met Governor Roy Romer, nor had I ever held a political position before. But with this position came a lot of attention, and from my first day on the job, I was in high demand for press interviews, keynote speaking in major conferences, and was often asked to testify in front of the Colorado State Legislature and the U.S. Congress. I have never felt more respected and admired. Where this was different than basketball was that it was the first time ever I felt respected and admired because of my expertise in something. In this case, I was considered an expert in transportation. But as I look back, my wonderful memories are soon followed by the great lessons that I learned from those times. As I got older, playing basketball, it just didn't mean as much to me as it used to. And even though I won a lot of trophies, in my age category especially, I played until I turned 63. I discovered that there are only so many trophies a person can win playing in a sport before they become meaningless. In fact, basketball started becoming less pleasurable because winning became my affirmation of my self-worth. And as I got older and I struggled keeping up with the physical demands I had once been able to fulfill, the winning became much less, while the pressure to win in order to feel good about myself became much more. My deteriorating skills were a reminder that I was getting older. Eventually, I gave up playing basketball because I could not bear to witness anymore how far I had fallen from the player I had once been. My years as executive director for CDOT didn't fare much better either. After 5 years on the job, I was replaced when the new governor was elected because Governor Romer, my boss, was term limited. I found out the harsh truth about the nature of political appointments. Whether or not you did a good job during your term does not guarantee that you will hold a position in the future. A new administration has the right, and understandably so, to select new cabinet heads based on what they deem is good for them. But the real and most important but painful lesson I learned from this period was that when my tenure as CDOT's director came to an end, so too did the respect and admiration I thought I had earned. It was the importance of the position carried that brought the attention to me when I held it. The fact was that the so-called respect and admiration I thought I had earned was only an illusion, for it was feigned by a good majority of the people who chased me while I held the position. They were mostly seeking some benefit for themselves or their businesses as a result of the association they had with me in that position. Now, I have held other politically appointed positions since then, but this time around I could better tell when someone was cozying up to me for some personal benefit. And one of the many wonderful things you get about reflecting back on your life happens when you realize that everything that happened to you until this point have changed you for the better. They certainly have for me. On second thought, if I was to pick a time in my life that I could go back to, I would pick right now. Yes, I'm older in all aspects of my being. I'm no longer the athlete I once was, nor do I hold any influential position that brings me any power or fame. But I have something better. For I have never felt so comfortable inside my own skin, nor as content and peaceful about my life as I do now. I wish someone had told me before when I was younger that this beautiful and fulfilling state of our human condition is possible to attain in a lifetime. Had I known it, maybe I would have sought it out sooner. But nonetheless, I feel so blessed to be experiencing this moment and feel so grateful for everything that happened to me and all of the people whom I came across in my life. I just would not change a thing.